Good evening and welcome to another Stompy 51 miniature adventure. Today we're going to look at how I have orchestrated some chaos into some Warhammer in the old world, because back in 7th edition I did have a little Warriors of Chaos army. It didn't do very well. None of my armies ever did well. And over the years I tried to move them into Age of Sigmar, but I've got plenty of other things going on in Age of Sigmar, and I didn't want to buy more and more and more stuff at Age of Sigmar. And I've picked up other bits and bobs over time just because I like the miniatures, 3D printing as well. And so I thought to myself, this can be the army that I properly reconstitute for Warhammer in the old world. And I've got a 1,250 point game where I'm going to try and muddle through the rules with some lovely dude at the friendly local gaming store coming Saturday night.
And so we're going to start off with a bit of context from the Ravening Hordes book about the Warriors of Chaos. From the frozen north march the Warriors of Chaos, merciless killers possessing brute strength and skill in fearsome measure. And that's what we're all about here. With them come iron-clad Chaos Knights and mighty chosen, their baroque armour aflame with the favour of the dark gods. These indomitable killers march to war alongside great hordes of barbarian marauders drawn from savage tribes. Again, amongst their ranks stand trolls, chimera, and still fouler things, charged by their masters to lay waste to the old world. So we're talking about a combo of basically evil knights. Who doesn't love evil knights with glowing eyes? Unsuspecting, kind of crazed human tribesmen, and then pepper-potted monsters and creatures. So I suppose for me, this sounds like great fun. Army composition. Up to 50 points of your army's points value can be spent on a Chaos Lord or Demon Prince, and up to one, and one Exalted Champion or Sorcerer Lord. Now, the game that I'm going to be playing in a few weeks, couple of weeks, is 1,250 points, as my opponent and I, for the first time, I've never played with him before, but he seems like a nice fellow. We're going to try and just work through the rules. So that's why we're going for 1,250. So I suspect I'll be going for a Demon Prince. We'll talk about that. Core, at least 25% must be spent on Chaos Warriors, Marauders or Forsaken, Chaos Knights, Marauder Horsemen, and Chaos Warhounds. So I can do that, and you'll see, because I haven't rebased all of my 7th edition Warriors of Chaos. I only played a couple of games of Warriors of Chaos in 7th edition, and it was a pretty small army. I just didn't seem that excited by it. But that was more to do with Warhammer 7th, where I found if you didn't have certain armies, you just got wiped off the table. And then special, up to 1 unit of Chaos Warriors, chosen Chaos Warriors, chosen Chaos Knights. Right, so the Chaos Ogres, Chaos Trolls, Chaos Spawn, Chaos Chariots and Chimeras, they're all special, and Dragon Ogres. I'd love to get some Dragon Ogres one day. And rare are these Gorbeast Chariots and a Hell Cannon. I have a Hell Cannon and I have a Shaggoth and I have a Giant. And then Mercenaries, we have to look up how Mercenaries works. And then Allies, 25%. So, Orcs and Goblins doesn't really sit too easily to my mind with Chaos Warriors. It's funny how these kind of fantasy worlds take on the same kind of sense of what's right and fitting as any kind of historical setting. Beastmen Brayherds, I mean, that makes a lot more sense to me, and I do have bits and pieces of Beastmen, but I may not need to fill this up with allies. Or Tomb Kings, that doesn't sit well, it's a bit odd. And a Standard Bearer, so that's one I may come back to. I don't have an obvious model. A single Exalted Champion or Aspiring Champion holding a nice big bumper battle standard, which I'm told is a must-have. Right, so let's get going with what I've got. I suppose there's this fellow. Let's zoom in. Sorry, this is you don't watch this channel for high-end technical prowess. So he's, I think, quite a recent Age of Sigmar Slaves to Darkness miniature. And he looks like he's giving his speech to the troops, bit a la Braveheart before they pile into the enemy and just cause mayhem. And I mean, that's not really battle standard type material, is it? So we'll see if we go for him as an exalted champion, aspiring champion, or Chaos Lord. But I don't think we'll do that, because I think what's more likely is the Demon Prince's allocation. So this is a giant demon cow with a kind of essence of Nurgle from Nightmare Miniatures, which has taken me a while to base and clean up. But it's a beautiful miniature, weighs an absolute ton. Demon Princes, 50mm by 50mm base, monstrous infantry, can be a wizard. He doesn't strike me as a wizard. Well, I mean, he is pointing, maybe he is potentially a wizard. They may have the fly special rule. They can be a wizard, in which case they would know battle magic, demonology, and dark magic. But I think I'm gonna, in my mind's eye, I have two different kinds of Demon Prince. I think we're gonna have a killer Demon Prince who kind of stocks up on whatever you can stock up on for combat, and then this Kev Adams miniature, also I believe by Nightmare Miniatures, and I think he would be some kind of wizard, because I think making a flying wizard, I think, starts to make this guy a bit expensive. And he's so much fun, and he looks so much easier to paint than a standard GW model, that maybe I will expedite him one day, just when I'm looking for something for a bit of fun. I mean, I've been in a bit of a hobby funk for a few weeks. There's just been so much going on, and I've been so exhausted that I haven't done any painting, but I have done bits and bobs of assembly. There's Demon Princes. Sorcerers of Chaos. I mean, I have loads of Sorcerers of Chaos floating around the house, but this is one that I've actually rebased. A Sorcerer Lord is a level 3 wizard. An Exalted Sorcerer Lord is a level 1 wizard. Sorry, Exalted Sorcerer is a level 1 wizard. And everyone knows battle magic, demonology, and dark magic. So I'm thinking he would be the Exalted Sorcerer. But this guy will even fit into the camera shot. I think he would be the Sorcerer Lord. And I swapped him on Late Adventure for him a while back for a few bits and bobs. I never thought he would come in use necessarily, but it seemed quite a fun model. I think I'll have to fill in that line with some green stuff, but otherwise, whoever it was assembled him just fine, and I undercoated him just the other day without destroying it, which is something I'm always a bit wary of in using rattle cans. But let's talk Chaos Warriors. I thought that I would use some of the new ones because they looked so much more dynamic and so much more menacing than the very flat, boring, historically done plastic ones. But these are a bit of a Tetris nightmare, because although you can put them on 30mm bases, I think they're heavy infantry, the reality is these were designed for Age of Sigmar, where they would just stand on this giant 30mm base, round base, and be able to sort of be swinging their shields, swinging their axes, and be within, I think it's now ½ inch of their neighbouring Psycho. But they weren't designed to be ranked up, and so I may have to write numbers on all of them. These are two boxes, two different boxes. One was from a big kind of Vanguard or Spearhead, or I don't know, some kind of Slaves of Darkness army box, and 10 are from that, and they're kind of push fit. And then the other 10 are from a £35 box of similar but different looking Chaos Warriors, who I think you could make them with swords, hand weapons, but they're really designed to be with halberds, which I think was the purpose of the new box. I mean, they are beautiful. He does look like, you know, that guy from Mad Max, Why must we all fight? Why can we not live in peace? Let me come in and kill you. And they probably wouldn't be too hard to paint. What are they except for a cape, boots, and a lot of armor? And they do definitely have... Let's try getting focus here. They do definitely have a lot of character to them, and a lot of menace. And I didn't do much kit bashing with them because they're very prescriptive, these. They're not, a body, you choose the arms, you choose weapons and heads, etc. All you can really choose are different heads, different shields, and that's basically it. So I did mix the shields up a little bit within the two sets. I mean, that's a head, a 3D printed head. I don't know, maybe he's a Spanish Chaos Warrior. He's going to be the leader, and he looks fairly leaderish. The most leaderish thing being his orky looking shield. But they do look like, Frozen Cold Menace. I think that head is from the Forsaken box, which strangely I bought to make Blood Bowl Chaos Warriors, whatever they were called at the time. And then I'm left with all the bits, which is not a bad thing because the bits are quite fun. And I don't know, what would you do? Would you paint the shields silver and metallic and rusted looking, or would you paint them like red or something? I don't know, I'll have to think. I'll have to decide. Although, as I ever say, if they are ever painted. This I thought was quite a funny idea, because I just assembled some Vindictors or whatever characterless and meaningless name has been given by Games Workshop to the Stormcast Eternal units for 4th edition, and there was a leftover head which I carved to kind of fit in to there, because maybe he's got bored of dying and being reborn as a newly forged Stormcast Eternal in the plans of Sigmar, and he thought, hey, stuff it, I'm just going to join the Legions of Chaos. I don't want to be reborn and fight for good on an eternal basis. I just want to kill. And now he's with his true brothers in literal crime. And this one was quite a good one, meandering up to give you a bit of a stab. There weren't too many mold lines, and I probably should go back through all of these, but I'm in haste for that game in a couple of weeks. These are just a rebased effort of my Warhammer 7th edition army onto the correct basing. And the problem is if you do what I do and basically treat these as chess pieces, it's the Halford's undercoat spray that really holds all that sand on. But I don't want to respray these because, some effort has been taken to get them to a certain point. These aren't my ones from 7th edition, these are from a mate. My ones are painted and on circular bases, which I'm not going to rip off for a game I'm not sure about. So this is going to be a bit of sand floating about the battlefield rather than snowy chaos waste. Chaos Ogres. I've shown these a few times. What's the value here, really? It's just showing you how they fit onto their bases. These Golfags, Ogres from must be the early 90s, late 90s. And these are going to be units of 6. So I had these 4. Stupidly, I swapped away the guy with the drum. So if anyone has that floating around, they want to sell or swap, we can talk. This I swapped for something with someone from Canada. We had quite a few bits to swap, so it was unusually worthwhile to do it. And he was a lovely fellow. We did it on one of the Facebook groups. I mean, he obviously is from Mordheim, and so doesn't look particularly chaosy, but he's been on his travels and he'll pay anyone who feeds him as he walks around. And I recently bought the 4 other ones of this fellow. He's definitely late 90s, looks Perry, Michael Annan Perry. I've got the 4 others in the recent Games Workshop re-release. But, you know, these guys hopefully will see their first battle, because in all the years I've owned them, they've never fought. So I'll let you know how they go. Chaos Ogres are brutal, muscle-bound thugs to whom only two things really matter, fighting and eating. They roam the world, often hiring out their services as mercenaries in exchange for weaponry and food, which is why they don't look too kind of eaten up by the fountains of chaos. They are often and quite rightly thought by other races to be ignorant and gluttonous. I mean, they do come with a mark of Chaos Undivided, and you can give them a mark of Chaos. Any unit may upgrade one model to a champion, well, that's obviously going to be him. One to a standard bearer, well, that's obviously going to be him. And one to a musician, and I haven't got a musician. Oh well, hey ho, maybe one day. Unit size 3 to 15. You can have 15 of these. I'm a bit thick now, so it's 15. What, so there'd be five rows, you had another 3 rows of these guys. Maybe one day. I mean, that can't be a good use of points. Chaos Trolls. I don't have any Chaos Trolls. I saw Games Workshop were re-releasing them. They seemed pretty expensive for what they are, and I was never really that big a fan. And then there's Chaos Spawn. And these are 3D prints by Duncan Shadow. And the great thing about Chaos is even if you mess things up, no one really notices. You can hear the hamster in the background there, fueled by the forces of chaos, energy. But anyway, when bits broke off this when I was rebasing it, it didn't really matter because how many people notice a random tentacle? So yeah, this guy just kept saying to his Chaos Lord, I want gifts, I want Chaos gifts. And then he got so many, he doesn't even know his name or their names. Monstrous infantry, 50 mils, unit size 1 to 4. Flailing appendages counts as hand weapons, and scaly skin counts as heavy armor. So that's pretty relevant here. I'm not sure what colors to paint these guys. Oh, he's got a little willy in there. Chaos balls. They can be Spawn of Khorne with a killing blow special rule. Spawn of Nurgle with poisonous attacks. Yeah, these look very much Spawn of Nurgle, don't they? Or Spawn of Slaanesh, a strike first special rule. Or Spawn of Tzeentch, flaming attacks and magical attacks. There's a lot of characters been built into this game, actually. I'll let you know how it goes. Marauder Horseman. So I just rebased my lot from 7th edition. I remember getting quite excited by these after seeing Game of Thrones and bought a few more because of those crazed nomadic riders, the name of which now escapes me. Oops. And I just replaced a few of the heads. I mean, I kept them separate so I could paint the horses and humans separately without being forced to kind of paint in gaps like that. And who else have I got floating around? I think this must be enough for 2 units. Marauder Horsemen, unit size 5+, there's no limit. They may take one of the following: cavalry spears or throwing spears. Well, no, those are both free. And flails at +1 per model. And they may take throwing axes or javelins. They can be given a mark of chaos. Yeah, I'm not sure I'll bother with any marks. I think you presumably keep these cheap because they kind of ride in and divert the enemy wherever they can. And these are, so that's one of the third-party heads. I mean, they just have long necks, and I tried to cut them down, but I imagine it would look a bit more normal once they were painted. Again, should that day ever come. And he's a leader fellow, again with that shield that I quite like the look of. I know I've got here 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9. That's not a good number. 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh no, there's a 10th one. At least a 10th horse. I may have to work out if I've got enough riders as well. We shall see. So a hell cannon. I do have a hell cannon, and you know, I got caught up in the rebasing wars. So he was on a 7th edition base, and I've now got it on this base. And I have actually since found the chaos kind of spiky thing that goes over here, the cover. And you can see this wasn't painted very well, painted quite conceptually, but at least it's painted. And then I've got the little crew all on round bases, and would I bother rebasing them? I suspect not, because you wouldn't expect to be in combat all too often. And online, some people got very excited. They thought it had been nerfed, or it wasn't as exciting as they would have hoped compared to 7th edition. I remember in 7th edition, you shot once or twice and then you couldn't control it. It just pulled itself forward and kept attacking people in ways that weren't strategically useful. 215 points, that's quite a lot. The demon bound within the Hell Cannon constantly tested spawns, attempting to break free. During the start of turn subphase of each of your turns, make a leadership test. If you fail, you go to the Hell Cannon misfire table, which is free at last. Demon breaks loose. Everyone close by gets damaged. Chomp, 2 to 4, the most likely outcome. The Hell Cannon's handlers are sucked towards the furnace of the Ravenous Demon. Remove one of the Hell Cannon's Chaos Dwarf handlers, or 5 to 6 blood. The Hell Cannon breaks its chains, immediately moving 3d6, as if it was subject to the random movement special rule, as if this were the compulsory move subphase. So yes, it still rushes off and tries to eat people. I suppose that's the Orc and Goblin aspect of the army, the unforeseen, crazed, fun part. And what's wrong with that? And then Chaos Giant, and this is just a Bones Giant I've had floating around for a long time, with a giant tree trunk. And he's seen, I think, at least a couple of battles, so there you go. I do have other giants, but I thought he could see his day in the sun. I understand the big in-meta thing to be a Sorcerer Lord or Chaos Lord on Chaos Dragon. This is the only dragon I have floating around. I mean, I bought him secondhand on eBay. Even during 7th, he was an old thing. And I didn't paint him that well. And I mean, there are loads of gaps in the model, and that's liquid green stuff, which I would have to paint over. But I think he still looks plausible even in this day and age, particularly with the re-release of a number of these big monsters with these ancient plastic wings. But the issue I have is I don't have anything, a Chaos Lord that fits on his back, or a Sorcerer Lord, or a Chaos Lord that fits on his back, because they've all become a bit too intricate. So I'm just keeping my eye out for one of those. If you've got a useful suggestion, do let me know. And then I'd have to obviously rip this guy off the base, which will be one of a number of times he's been rebased in his life, but he's no longer traumatized by that kind of thing. I think I'd have to redo some of the red, maintain some of the highlights, and then work out how to paint these horns in a way which isn't too painful. I remember there was a red shirt store member who used to sound like the Count, who came past me, and he was usually quite flattering of my painting efforts, but this one he said, "This is not as good as other ones," and I was like, "Why?" And he said, "Come on, you cannot compare." And you know what? He was absolutely right, because he could see that there'd just been a lot of loose overbrushing. But, I treat that as an opportunity. Wow.
But if you watch this channel, and I hope you do, more often, you know me, I never miss an opportunity. To miss an opportunity to get distracted, and so I've spent bits and bobs of this weekend with the limited free time I had reconstituting some Flames of War, late war Germans, into something I could use for battle group, because I found Flames of War a bit of a car park annoyance. But that's a tale for another time. But for now, that's it for today. I hope to do another video after the game of Warhammer in the Old World, and I'll let you know how it went, at least at a high level. Please do subscribe if you haven't already. It helps me get out there. Do always leave comments. I love comments. When I'm out and about, I go back over the last week or two, see the thoughts, suggestions, criticisms people have, and I get to learn and chat with people who love the hobby as much as I do. Keep well, keep safe, and see you around here soon.